Hello, everyone. This is Cassandra Williamson. I am coming to you from a holler in Eastern Kentucky. This is the Path Forward, and we have got some stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of it just happens to pop up, and I just key into it and say, okay, we got to do something about this. But the things that I have to say generally come from many years of having thought about a lot of different things and considered them and looked at people and talked to other people about them. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight is this judge in Texas, in Amarillo, Texas. And he ruled that it's all right to discriminate against LGBT and transgender Americans in the workplace. And he used a lot of descriptive language that kind of harkens back to something that's even worse. But you have to be real careful about all of this, because what's going on is obviously, from all of his history, from everything I know about him, his decisions are religiously based. So I'm going to put up something for you to look at. This says, "Welcome to Texas, y'all." Now, the first thing I want you to know is that I'm not going after someone because they're either Muslim or Christian or anything like that. I'm going after someone because of what they do with that. This particular judge is a Christian nationalist. He's worked for, as a lawyer, for other organizations that have done this kind of thing before. And the decision he made yesterday, on Thursday, the 15th of May, was done in conjunction with the Heritage Foundation, Dr. Kevin Roberts, and Project 2025, the Mandate for Leadership. And if you have any idea about what's going on, if you've been watching and paying attention, by now you know that what I said last year is correct, that Project 2025 is the playbook that is going to shape this country no matter what President Trump decides to do. He has always he maintained last year that, I'm not associated with anything like that. I don't know those people. But let me tell you something. Everything that has taken place in this administration, everything that's taking place at the state level and the federal court system, it comes out of Project 2025. And all you have to do is read the forward to figure out what they're going to do next and how far they're going to go. They're pushing this through the states. They're pushing this through the local communities. They're pushing this through Congress. They're pushing this through this administration. So we are dealing with a horrible, horrible, compassionless bunch of people. How did we get there? Why? What is the problem with about 1,000 or so transgender people serving in the military? There's no reason to kick any of those people out. There's no reason at all. They're highly skilled and trained. And I know many of these people, and I'm thrilled to say that they are the best of the best. But this administration and Project 2025 with the Heritage Foundation and this judge over there, somewhat different case, but nonetheless, they're going after all these people who are skilled and trained. But so why? Why are they doing it? What's the motivation for it? Well, let me get rid of the thing right there that you're looking at. And as I said at the beginning, I am not doing this. I'm not going after Muslims. I'm not going after Christians. I'm going after the extremists within both of those things. We don't want Sharia law in Texas. We don't want Sharia law anywhere in the country. But we also don't want Christian Sharia law either. But yeah. And I've got a lot of friends who actually say, but they're the ones in majority. You've got to kind of get along and all of that. And I said, well, I'm thinking, that makes a little bit of sense. It sure does. We have people who are causing more problems in our own community than outside of it and drawing all of attention and all this kind of stuff. And that is true, but it's not isolated to that. It's not motivated by that. These decisions don't come because of that, because of bad actors in our community. These decisions come out of this Christian nationalism, this extremism of Christianity, extremism of the Muslim faith, extremism in any religion, actually. If it gets to that place where it says that group of people right there, well, we don't even want to let them exist. We're going to throw them off of a building. That's wrong. if you get to the place where you have a religion that says, or a judge that says, who uses his religion as the foundation for this, whether he admits it or not, but he's surrounded by everybody who does. So what you end up with are decisions that are made at these federal judge levels, the local court systems, the state levels, the federal level, in the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislature. You get all these decisions being made that they tell you it's based on what they want you to see and what they are trying to make you perceive as being the problem. Like they're wanting you to focus on the bad actors in the trans community, the bad actors in the LGBT community. They want you to focus on people in drag reading to your kids. They want you to focus on that. But that is not where this comes from. This comes from, it doesn't come from there, folks. This comes from their ideological beliefs. And they want to impose their beliefs on the whole country. It's called ideological conformity. And it comes right out of 84. Remember the book? George Orwell's book? Ideological conformity. And they're trying to strip this same thing out of our academies and out of our leadership and out of our nations and out of our educational systems. They want to create ideological conformity to their way of thinking, and they're trying to get everything lined up to make it happen. What this judge did out there was declare that sexual orientation and gender identity can be discriminated. People who express those things, they can be discriminated against in the form of their workplace. It will cause tremendous harm to a lot of people. A lot of people I care about. It will cause tremendous harm for that and with that. Why? Because now you're putting in jeopardy the very lives of people who are just different from you, who look different, believe different, love different, only because of your religious beliefs. This is not a new thing. This has been going on for at least 75, 80 years. They've always wanted to go after the gays. They put them through electroshock therapy in the 50s with Alan Turing. Did the Lavender Scare in the 50s and 60s, did all of that stuff, kicking them out, causing tremendous harm to a lot of Americans simply because the majority decided that their view was the right way and they stuck to it and they enforced their view on the rest. That's the way you shape the ideology so that it conforms with what you want it to conform with. Yeah, there's a lot of those people there. There's a lot of people in that majority, and we don't have the numbers to continue fighting it. So you got to find out a way to actually address it so that we can protect those we care about. We can take care of the people that matter to us. All Americans do. If you've been in the service, you know that. We're in defense of all Americans, regardless of your ideological views, regardless of your political standing or position, regardless of your nationality. If you're an American, then our responsibility was to protect you and abide by the Constitution. And right now, the Constitution has been turned on its head. It is being turned So, hello, I think I'm back. Is everybody still there? I am up in a holler, as they say here in Eastern Kentucky. I'm way up in one. I mean, there's only a few houses to the end, and then there's a mile of creek going on up. It's beautiful, but the internet sucks sometimes. Yesterday we had a tree. Yesterday or Wednesday. Wednesday we had a tree fall down from across the road and take out all the power and the internet connections here. It just crippled us. Anyway, what I was saying earlier was that we've got this judge out in Texas who has issued a rule against the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, under the previous administration's iteration anyway, where he's basically saying that you can discriminate against LGBT and transgender people in the workplace, regardless of what Bostock says, the Supreme Court ruling, Bostock. He's actually saying that in this piece, and he's justifying it because he's saying that they failed to define sex as binary. I don't know about you, but geez, we all know it's not. The majority would like to think it is, and the White House wants you to think it is, and the executive orders want you to think it is, and the military wants you to think that it is, and we know better than that because the science doesn't support that assertion. It's much more nuanced than anything you can possibly imagine. I don't want to get all wonky over in the science I know and the science that I don't know and all this guy. I don't want to get there. But I do want to say this. How do we move forward in this environment? Well, there are two things you have to consider. One, you need to look inside your own place and make sure your house is in order, that you're living upright, that what you're doing is actually reflective of what it is that you say you are and who you say you are, that you're actually reflecting that you're not being offensive about it to a bunch of other people. And that is a hard thing to accept because what have we been told? That we have been told and raised in this affirming atmosphere. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it became its own silo, became its own problem. And also over on the other side, the right-hand side, they also have been an affirming atmosphere too. It's iterative and it's gatekeeping that says, hey, this is what you have to believe over here. And you can't do anything with those people over there because they are so different from us. They're Americans, but not really. That's how it comes across, right? Well, they are all Americans, and we have to figure out a way to move forward. One is when somebody does something stupid in our community, it needs to be called out. But at the same time, the other side, who have a vast majority and a vast number of people, far more than us in this other group on the left, well, they've got control of things right now, and you got to figure out a way to survive. So you have to take care of yourself. You got to watch for the things that can put you and your family in jeopardy. You got to watch out for the laws that are coming through, or the possibilities can be changed at the courts, in the courts. For instance, your LGBTQ families are under threat too. They won't stop with just going after transgender people, folks. They're going after the entire group of minority populations in this country. All of them, not just the ones that you know that you are associated with, but all of them. We're all under threat, and we ought to be standing mostly together. I know it's not possible for all of us to actually do that and agree on everything at every time, all the ways to approach things. But I can tell you, I'm going to call the right out when they do something that is just reprehensible, like this judge in Texas, and like Pete Hegseth in the Defense Department, and let me see, Pam Bondi, pick a name in this administration. They've all pushed the boundaries of what it is to be a constitutional republic. They put it under threat. And we need to call them out for it. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're doing these things with a clean house and a clean conscience. We need to make sure that what we're doing uplifts the entire community, but points out the ignorance, just as we do over on the other side. You can't be a hypocrite about things anymore. There have been too much hypocrisy going around in all of these things. Over on the right, the hypocrisy is just astounding. And over on the left, or in the silo chambers, on the echo chambers over here on the left side of things, hypocrisy is just as astounding. Make sure that what we are doing is being done across the board in a fair way and makes sense. Live up to the standards that you wish to live by. Live by those rules. But there comes a time when we may have to do things a little bit more asymmetrically. And that does not mean any kind of violence. That doesn't mean that we go out and do something stupid and draw attention to us further, because there aren't enough of us to keep fighting like that, are there? But we have to use different techniques, different ways of addressing things, and not be shy about getting out in front of these things. We tried it last year. Most people ran away. We're doing it this year. We're getting people coming back slowly. But I still feel like Cassandra from the Greek mythology, because Cassandra in Greek mythology was a prophetess who got relegated to a cave because nobody would believe anything she said, but yet all of it came true. And I don't claim to be a prophetess, and I certainly don't claim to be right all the time either. I know that. I'm well aware of it. But I can tell you this, there are some challenges coming through. So our people need to be taking care of themselves, making sure that what you're doing is not going to bring harm to you, harm to the community, or to your families or anyone like that, because you need to take care of yourself. Get your documents in order if you haven't. Be prepared for things. That's the old Scout motto, be prepared. Remember that? Whoever was in the Boy Scouts? I was. Many, many decades ago. And so be prepared for what's coming and know your place in this, and know that people do care about you. People care about you and are worried about you and your future. And they want to make sure that what's going on around you is not going to cause a bullseye to be placed on you. We don't want bullseyes on any of us or anyone, any person in this country. No one at all. Right, left, center, wherever, it doesn't matter. Stop putting bullseyes on people. James Comey did something where he posted a little meme that had 8647 on it. Well, when I was in the military, in the Navy and the Marine Corps, when I was running my restaurants and stuff like that, when I was in business, 86 just meant take out the trash, or, put that over there where it belongs. Let's forget about it. Flush it down the toilet. We're done with it. 86 it. We did it on submarine. Let's go 86, and you put that lead weight in the bottom of the trash, and it's gone. That's 86ing something. It had nothing to do with killing or hurting in any way like that. It just meant 86. You're going to go over here and take care of that trash. And I've told people to go do that. Got to, take care of that right there. And the restaurant's the same kind of thing. Some things you have to 86. Flush it down the toilet. Flush it down the food processor or whatever. Chop it all up and get it out. But that does not mean violence of any kind against a human being. And the right has latched onto that today and absolutely blown it up out of proportion. They've just gone all after James Comey over that. And then here's the problem, though. Here's the challenge. Rather than him telling you what he meant, what did he do? He said, I didn't know it meant that. That just opened it up even further. He should have thought about that just a second and said, well, that's not what I meant by that. This is what I meant by that. And this is the standard way of thinking about that. But the other big thing we have to deal with is people like, I don't know, a Qatari prince giving a $400 million jet ostensibly to the Defense Department. So you know why? I'm jumping on another topic. I call it the Arab Force One, but actually I got that from Bill Kristol. If you know Bill Kristol, conservative, principled thinker. Well, anyway, who went out of vogue after the Tea Party stuff all started. But anyway, he called it that, the Air Force One or the Arab Force One. But here's the thing to that, too. We do the same thing. We've given warships and planes and equipment and tanks and everything to other nations without an expectation of getting anything back in return. But we give it to them because they may need it, or something came up where we just don't have a use for it anymore. So if they can use it, we give it to them. That's what they are doing with this this jet, by moving it through the Department of Defense. But we know that that's a shell game. We know it's a shell game. How do we know that? Well, because it's going to take millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to retrofit that thing. The Department of Defense will try to do all of that. But why did they offer it to President Trump? Why? Well, who is President Trump? What do we know about him? He likes all those glittery gold things, doesn't he? Yep. Look in the office. Look in the Oval Office. Look at his golden toilet. Look at his offices on Manhattan or wherever he might be. That's very ostentatious. So for the Qatari prince to offer this jet to the president, it kind of appealed to his ego. You know, it said, I think of myself as the king, because that was the family's jet in Qatari, the royal family's jet. So you know it's made out well. It's very ostentatious, most likely. I haven't seen the inside of it, but I'm figuring it's not a junk plane. It's not junked out. They didn't fly around in second class, third class, or fourth class in that thing. That jet's got some amenities in it. Won't find anywhere else. That appealed to Trump, to his vanity. But yes, sliding it over into the Defense Department so they can take care of it and making it look kosher, while at the same time we know that by the time it gets retrofitted, the other one will probably be available too. That's from Boeing. So what's going to happen to this 747? The recommendation from the president is, well, just give it to the Trump library after he gets out of office. Whew, my goodness. If that doesn't violate the Constitution, I don't know what is. But then again, he doesn't really care about the Constitution. We know that to be true. He talks the talk and walks the walk, but I'm going to tell you, he doesn't care. This man is amoral at best. As long as it benefits getting him the money and the power and prestige that he thinks he deserves, then it doesn't matter if he does something immoral or moral to get there. Whatever it takes, that's what he does. And then he calls the rest of us stupid. The rest of Americans are stupid. Well, I've got something for you then. This judge out there in Texas, he is a Christian nationalist. And he is setting the stage for the Heritage Foundation to accomplish its nationwide goal of going after everyone in the LGBTQ plus alphabet community. Everyone. That's what they want to do. That's what they've been working towards for 3 or 4 years now. Look in Project 2025 in the forward. You'll see it. It's listed right there. It tells you plainly what they want to do. You don't even have to go past page 5. In the forward, no less. Without reading any of the rest of it, it's in there. Clearly delineated is what they want to do. They don't want you talking about sexual orientation. They don't want you talking about gender identity. They don't want you doing any research on sexual orientation or gender identity. They don't want those words used at all because it's so offensive to them. It offends their precious little hearts. There's a Southern saying for that. Can y'all beat me to it? Oh my God. Yeah. These things offend them. It is not about, even though they want you to think it's about Rose Montoya or Dylan Mulvaney or somebody like that. No, it's not about that. That's the wedge, that's the hammer they use to persuade people to do what they want because they can point out to these things. But they can't point to any reason why They want to actually deny the existence of people, of certain populations in this country. They just want to deny the existence, taking away any reference to them in the census data, taking any reference away from them in the Justice Department. So we'll never know of the crimes being committed against those populations because, well, they don't exist, right? I mean, we can't use those terms to define it. So here we are. Well, yeah, that kind of pisses me off. It should you too. I've got a friend in California who told me this morning, he said, or she said, you know what? You're the feisty one. Everybody's been telling me you're the feisty one. Well, I just feel like I'm real. I'm trying to do what I can. And if that comes across as being feisty, if I point stuff out to us and them, then, so be it. There you have it. Now, let me check what the comments are down in the chat section. These are always fun too. So one of the biggest minority groups in America is the KKK and associated groups. So you're telling me that the KKK is going after themselves? Not really. And Junia says, Trump is the grifter in chief. That's who he is. The Antichrist according to the biblical meaning of Antichrist. And then Radical Rodent says they use them as an excuse. Yeah, they do. They use all the people over here like Della Mulvaney and Rose Montoya and the person shaving in the bathroom who claimed to be a woman. And then Nancy Mace did it today too, pointing out that this person who had threatened her was obviously was a trans person, but she does everything in her power to go against them. And so my comment back to her was, that's really weird. I hate it when people are threatening the lives of other people. Who does that? Exclamation mark, question mark. I doubt that it'll ring any bells. Do you? Anyway, with that, let's call it a day. I hope you have a great weekend. Be careful, be safe with yourself and your families. Take care of you, and just know that there are people who do care, who are trying to figure out ways to move forward and always looking for other suggestions and advice. But this is my show. I paid for it. And if you want to support what I'm doing, please do. You go over to the website. It's over there. You can go here, right there. Go to that website. Go over there and subscribe, and there are several options. You got a free one, you got a monthly one, you got a year one. Go over there and check it out, because this is reader and viewer supported programming from Cassandra Williamson in a holler in Eastern Kentucky with the Path Forward, and also the one I do in the daytime called Midday Muster, and an occasional breaking news story.